All right, everyone, get ready, because today we are diving deep into something you probably don't spend a lot of time thinking about, packaging.
Packaging.
That's right, packaging. We've got research articles, reports all about packaging, and
Interesting.
we're going to unpack why packaging is so much more than just boxes and bubble wrap.
Yeah.
It's a huge part of logistics.
Yeah.
It affects everything from cost and efficiency to, get this, even a company's carbon footprint.
It's true. What I find so fascinating is how the impact of packaging, it goes way deeper than what we see, like
Right.
on the surface. It really touches every single stage of the supply chain.
Okay, so it's not just about making sure my new shoes arrive without a scratch,
Yeah.
right?
No, not at all.
Like, what's the big picture?
The big picture, well, think about it this way. Packaging has to protect products during shipping, make it easy to handle and move around, tell us important information about the product,
Okay.
and even grab your attention in the store.
So it's like packaging has to wear a lot of different hats.
That's a great way to put it.
So walk me through these different roles. Let's start with, like, the protection part.
Okay, sure. So protection is all about keeping products safe,
Right.
from damage, from the elements. Think about those delicate electronics
Mm.
or food that needs to stay fresh. The packaging has to be tough enough to handle bumps in the road, literally,
Yeah.
but also designed to prevent spoilage or contamination.
Right. You don't want your food going bad.
Exactly.
So that makes total sense. Now, what about the handling and transportation side of things? Like, once the package is on its way, does packaging really matter that much at that point?
Oh, absolutely. The shape and size of the packaging, they have a huge impact on how efficiently things can be moved around.
Okay.
Imagine trying to stack oddly shaped boxes in a delivery truck.
Right. Right.
You waste a ton of space.
Yeah.
Which means more trucks on the road,
Uh-huh.
which means more fuel burned and higher costs for everyone.
So it's like a giant game of Tetris,
Yes.
but with
Yeah.
real-world consequences.
Yes. Exactly. And then we can't forget about the weight. Heavy packaging just adds to those shipping costs. So companies are always looking for ways to lighten things up without compromising on the protection.
Right.
Yeah.
It all starts to make sense now. But what about information on packaging?
Yeah.
What's the point of that?
Well, packaging is actually like a communication tool. Think about those labels, right? With the ingredients, the safety warnings, those handling instructions.
Right.
It's all about providing critical information to consumers, to retailers, to all the people handling those packages along the way.
That's like a built-in instruction manual.
Yeah, you could think of it that way.
And then, of course, there's marketing. I mean, we all know how a cool-looking box
Oh, yeah.
or, sleek bottle can tempt us to buy something.
Absolutely. Packaging is often that first impression, that first physical interaction a customer has with a product.
Right.
So it's a really powerful way for brands to be recognized and influence our buying decisions. Think about the iconic red Coca-Cola can, right? Like you see it, you know exactly what it is.
It's more than just a can. It's a symbol.
Yeah.
Okay, so we've got those 4 key roles for packaging protection, handling, information, and marketing.
Yes.
Now let's talk about what it's actually made of. What are the pros and cons of those classic materials like cardboard,
Sure.
plastic, wood?
Okay, so starting with cardboard, right?
Yeah?
Cardboard is like a workhorse of the packaging world. It's cheap, it's versatile, and it's recyclable, so it checks a lot of boxes.
Yeah.
Pun intended. But it's not always the strongest, especially for heavy or fragile items.
Yeah, I think we've all experienced getting a package where the cardboard box is just totally crushed.
Oh, yeah, definitely. And then you've got plastic, which is durable, moisture resistant. It's great at protecting those products.
Wow.
But of course, we've got to talk about the elephant in the room, the environmental impact of plastic.
Right. Plastic's not the best for the planet.
It's a major concern. And what about wood? What are your thoughts on wood packaging?
Well, I mostly think of wood for those big shipping crates and pallets.
Yeah, you're right. Wood is super strong for those heavy-duty applications.
Right.
But again, we have to consider the weight, which translates to higher shipping costs.
So it seems like each material has its strengths and weaknesses.
Yeah.
Is there a perfect solution?
That's the million-dollar question.
Or are companies just kind of stuck juggling these trade-offs?
Well, that's where things get really exciting.
Okay.
There's a whole wave of innovation happening in the world of sustainable packaging.
Hmm.
And companies are exploring new materials that are both good for the planet and really functional.
Okay, I'm all ears. What
Yeah.
kind of innovations are we talking about?
All right, well, one really exciting area is biodegradable packaging made from plant-based materials. So we're talking things like cornstarch,
Okay.
seaweed, even mushroom roots.
Wait, mushroom roots for packaging?
I know, right?
That's wild. I'm picturing little mushrooms sprouting out of my Amazon boxes.
Well, not quite, but it's definitely a fascinating approach. The cool thing about these materials is they break down naturally in the environment,
Hmm.
which means less waste and pollution.
So no more guilt about all those cardboard boxes piling up.
Exactly.
That's pretty amazing. And I've been hearing a lot about smart packaging lately. What is that all about? Is it really all it's cracked up to be?
Smart packaging is more than just a fancy term. Think about those QR codes you see on products. You can scan them and get instant product information or even like exclusive content.
Right, I've seen those popping up everywhere.
They are everywhere. And that's just the beginning. Smart packaging can do so much more. Imagine sensors that can actually track the temperature of your groceries
Wow.
to make sure they stay cold during delivery. Or RFID tags that can track a package's entire journey
Wow.
from the factory to your doorstep.
Okay, that level of tracking is kind of mind-blowing.
It's pretty incredible. It's super useful too. But let's be real, packaging isn't always perfect. What are some of the challenges businesses face when it comes to getting it right?
Well, one of the biggest challenges is finding that sweet spot between cost and quality.
Mm,
Companies want to protect their products.
right.
They want to create a great experience for the customer when they open that package.
Uh-huh.
But they also have to think about the bottom line, keep costs down.
So it's that classic balancing act of wanting the best, but not wanting to break the bank.
Exactly. And then there's the whole environmental piece that we talked about.
Right.
Consumers want more sustainable options. But sometimes those eco-friendly solutions can be a bit pricier.
Yeah.
It's a tricky situation for businesses to navigate.
It sounds like a really complex equation. Are there any other factors that come into play?
Yeah, every product has its own unique needs, right?
Right.
You wouldn't package a fragile piece of glassware the same way you'd package a box of cereal.
Right. Good point. And then you have to consider all the different rules and regulations around the world.
Mm-hmm.
What's acceptable in one country might be banned in another.
Right. Navigating all those rules and regs must be a logistical nightmare.
It can be, but luckily, technology is coming to the rescue,
Okay.
helping businesses tackle these challenges and find creative solutions.
Okay, now this is where I think things get really interesting. Let's talk about how technology is changing the whole packaging game in part 2 of this deep dive.
Sounds good. Welcome back. Let's dive into some real-world examples of how companies are using creative packaging solutions to tackle those challenges we were talking about.
Okay, hit me with your best examples. I'm ready to be impressed.
All right, well, let's start with the food industry.
Okay.
They have this massive challenge of reducing food waste, right?
Right.
A lot of food gets lost during transportation just because of inadequate packaging.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And that has huge economic and environmental implications.
Yeah, it's a big deal. So how are companies dealing with this?
One solution that's really making a difference is modified atmosphere packaging.
Modified atmosphere packaging.
Yeah, or MAP for short.
Okay, MAP, what is that?
So instead of just sealing food in a container, they carefully adjust the levels of oxygen, nitrogen, and carbon dioxide inside the package.
So it's not just about keeping the air out.
Yeah.
It's about creating the right atmosphere inside.
Yes. It's all about finding the optimal atmosphere inside the package to keep that food fresh.
Interesting.
By fine-tuning those gases, they can slow down the natural processes that cause food to go bad.
Oh, so they're basically slowing down the spoiling process.
Exactly. And that means less food gets wasted in transit, and consumers can enjoy fresher produce for longer.
I can definitely get behind that. Fewer sad, wilted veggies in my fridge.
Right. Nobody wants that. And there are other benefits, too.
Okay, like what?
Well, MAP can actually reduce the need for artificial preservatives,
That's good.
which is a win for health-conscious consumers. Plus, by extending that shelf life, it gives those food products more time to reach their destination, which means new markets and even less spoilage.
Okay, so MAP is a packaging superhero in my book.
Definitely a game changer. Now, what about all those online orders we're all getting these days?
Oh, yeah. Good point.
Isn't all that e-commerce packaging kind of an environmental nightmare?
Well, yeah, I've definitely felt guilty about all those boxes piling up after a big online shopping spree.
It's a valid concern. The rise of online shopping has led to this, like, mountain of cardboard boxes and plastic packaging, right?
Yeah.
It's putting a strain on recycling systems and, contributing to pollution.
Yeah, not good.
But the good news is that companies are getting really creative with solutions that are both functional and eco-friendly.
Okay, that's good to hear. What are they doing?
One interesting trend is right-sized packaging.
Right-size packaging.
Yeah, have you heard of that?
I don't think so.
So basically, it's about using the smallest possible box for each order. Instead of just relying on those standard box sizes,
Right.
they actually use software to calculate the most efficient dimensions for every single order.
Wow, so it's like custom fit boxes.
Pretty much, which means less wasted space and material overall.
So no more getting a giant box for a tiny little item.
Exactly. It's about making sure that packaging fits perfectly.
I like it. It makes sense.
Right-size packaging means they can fit more packages on a truck, they use less cardboard, and it ultimately reduces their carbon footprint.
It's a win for the environment and probably saves companies money, too.
Right. It's a win-win. Now, what about those plastic air pillows?
Oh, yeah, the ones that seem to take up half the space in every box.
Exactly. They're a major source of waste.
Uh-huh.
But thankfully, there are alternatives popping up.
Okay, good.
Some companies are switching to biodegradable packing peanuts made from cornstarch or other plant-based materials.
So they'll actually decompose in a landfill
Yeah,
instead of just sitting there for, like, centuries.
exactly. They offer the same protection, but without that lasting environmental impact.
That's awesome.
Some companies are even experimenting with things like mushroom roots or seaweed as packing material.
Mushroom roots. Seaweed. Wait, are we back to that?
I know, right? It seems like anything is possible these days.
It's crazy.
Nature has its own amazing packaging solution, so why not learn from it, right?
Right. So it seems like we're moving away from that one-size-fits-all approach to packaging.
Definitely. And it's not just about the materials, it's also about how we use them. That's where technology comes in.
Right. All those smart technologies we talked about before.
Exactly. The QR codes, the sensors, the RFID tags, they're all making their way into the e-commerce world too.
Okay, how are those being used to improve online shopping?
Well, imagine scanning a tag on your package
Okay.
and getting real-time updates on its location, like an estimated delivery time, even proof of delivery.
So no more endlessly refreshing the tracking page.
Exactly. No more wondering if your package is ever going to show up. It just gives you that peace of mind.
That would definitely save me some stress.
Right. And it helps companies streamline their logistics, too.
It's like having a direct line of communication with your package.
I like that.
So what other cool things are companies doing with smart packaging?
Well, some companies are using it to actually personalize the whole unboxing experience.
Oh, interesting.
Imagine scanning that tag and getting a personalized thank you message from the company, or a link to a video about the product, or maybe even a discount code for your next purchase.
Okay, now that's taking things to a whole new level. It's not just about getting the product anymore.
It's an experience.
It's about creating a memorable experience for the customer.
Exactly. And that's where packaging really shines. It can be this powerful tool for connecting with customers, even in the digital world.
It's like the packaging itself becomes part of the brand story.
I like that. It's a good way to put it.
So we've talked a lot about the consumer side of things, but what about businesses? How does all of this impact their operations?
Well, packaging is absolutely essential for smooth, efficient logistics. And it all starts with the design of the packaging itself.
So it's not just about tossing something in a box and slapping on a label.
No, not at all. Logistics professionals have to consider so many factors.
Like what?
The shape and size of the product, how it's going to be stacked and transported,
Right.
the weight distribution within the package.
Right, so the weight is balanced.
Exactly. It's like a logistical puzzle, really.
It sounds complicated.
It can be. And if you don't get it right, it can lead to all sorts of problems.
Like what?
Well, damaged goods, wasted space, higher shipping costs.
Right.
The goal is to make sure the packaging protects the product, of course, but it also needs to be efficient to handle and transport.
Makes sense.
It all has to work together.
So how are companies using technology to, optimize their packaging and overcome all these challenges?
Well, for one thing, automation is playing a huge role. Robots and machines are taking over a lot of those repetitive tasks involved in packaging, like filling containers, sealing boxes, even applying labels.
So it's like having a super efficient team of robots working 24/7.
Exactly. And that speeds up the whole process, reduces errors, and makes things much more efficient overall.
Okay, so robots are taking over the packaging line. Got it. What about those smart packaging technologies? How are they being used on the business side?
One of the biggest advantages is real-time tracking. Companies can use sensors and RFID tags to monitor the location and condition of their products all along the way, from the factory to the warehouse to the customer's doorstep.
Wow, so they know exactly where everything is at all times.
Yes. No more wondering where a shipment is or if it's been delayed. It's a game changer for businesses.
That's amazing. It really is like having a GPS tracker on every package.
That's a great way to think about it.
Yeah.
It gives companies so much more control over their supply chain.
It's incredible.
And it's not just about location. Smart packaging can also provide a ton of data on things like temperature, humidity, shock, and vibration.
So if a package gets jostled around too much, they'll know about it.
Exactly.
That's wild.
And that data helps ensure that sensitive products like electronics or pharmaceuticals arrive in perfect condition.
Okay, that makes sense.
It's all about preventing damage and ensuring quality.
Right, so it's not just about implementing these technologies, it's about actually using the data to make things better.
That's exactly it. That feedback loop is crucial for making smart decisions about packaging design, materials, and shipping methods. Companies are using data to build a more efficient and sustainable packaging ecosystem.
It feels like we're on the verge of a packaging revolution. But before we get carried away with all this cool technology, is there a simple takeaway message that we can leave our listeners with?
Absolutely. I want everyone to remember that packaging is so much more than just a box. It plays a vital role in our daily lives, protecting products, ensuring safe delivery, and minimizing our impact on the planet.
So the next time we open a package, we should take a moment to appreciate all the thought and effort that went into it.
Exactly. And maybe even think about how we can make more sustainable choices as consumers,
Okay.
Like supporting companies that are using those eco-friendly materials and minimal packaging, or choosing to reuse or recycle whenever possible.
Great advice. It's a team effort, right?
It is.
Businesses and consumers working together to make a difference.
Absolutely. Every little bit helps. It all adds up.
It feels like we're really at a turning point with all this technology transforming, well, everything about packaging, from materials to how things are shipped.
Yeah.
But I'm kind of curious.
Yeah.
What about the people involved? Are robots going to completely take over all the packaging jobs?
That's the big question, isn't it?
Yeah.
A lot of people are wondering about that. Automation IS changing the industry for sure. But it's not about replacing humans altogether.
Right.
It's more about freeing us up, from those repetitive manual tasks.
Right.
So we can focus on things that need, like creativity, problem solving, critical thinking.
So it's about working smarter, not harder.
Exactly. What kind of roles do you think humans will play in this new world of packaging?
Well, I guess we'll still need skilled designers to come up with innovative packaging solutions and engineers to develop all those smart technologies and logistics experts to make sure the whole system runs smoothly.
Absolutely. Those roles are more important than ever. So instead of seeing automation as a threat, we should look at it as an opportunity, right?
Yeah.
A chance for humans to take on more strategic roles,
Right.
more fulfilling roles, like you said, work smarter, not harder.
Okay, I'm feeling a bit better about the robot takeover now. But what about the environmental impact? We talked about sustainable materials before.
Yes.
But what other steps are being taken to make packaging more eco-friendly?
Well, one really interesting area is something called life cycle analysis.
Life cycle analysis.
Yeah, have you heard of that?
I don't think so.
So basically, companies look at the environmental impact of their packaging across its entire life.
Okay.
From raw material extraction to manufacturing, transportation, use, and even disposal.
So it's not just about what the packaging is made of, but how it's made, shipped, and eventually thrown away.
Exactly. It's about looking at the whole picture.
Right, the big picture.
And by taking this broader approach,
Yeah.
companies can pinpoint those areas where they can reduce their impact on the planet.
Makes sense.
Like maybe switching to renewable energy sources for manufacturing, optimizing shipping routes to save fuel,
Right.
or even designing packaging that's easier to recycle or compost.
So companies are really thinking outside the box.
I see what you did there.
Are consumers playing a role in this shift to more sustainable packaging too?
Absolutely. Consumer demand is huge. It drives change. When we voice our concerns about excessive packaging or those non-recyclable materials,
Yeah.
companies pay attention. They adapt.
So it's a team effort then.
It is.
Businesses and consumers working together.
Exactly. It's about making conscious choices.
Uh-huh.
Like choosing products with less packaging, using reusable containers, even just recycling properly. Every little thing we do adds up.
I've definitely been trying to be more mindful about packaging when I'm shopping.
That's great.
It feels good to know I can make a difference.
You absolutely can. And that's the message I want to leave everyone with today. Packaging might seem like a simple thing, but it's connected to so many important issues.
Right.
Technology, sustainability, how we behave as consumers, global trade, it's all intertwined. It's a fascinating field that's always changing, and I'm really excited to see what the future holds.
Me too.
Hmm.
This has been such an interesting look into the world of packaging. I think we've all learned a lot about something we probably don't think about too much.
I hope so.
It's more complex than it seems.
It really is.
Well, thanks for sharing all this with us today.
It's been my pleasure.
And to everyone listening, thanks for joining us on this journey. Keep asking questions, stay curious, and maybe take a closer look at that next package you open.
Think about the journey it took to get to you.
Exactly. Until next time, keep diving deep.